Welcome to Stop Wanting Him Back and Find Someone Better, where I talk about my personal and my group coaching clients' experiences of healing our hearts, authentically falling in love with ourselves, and yes, finding someone better. I'm Claire, the Heartbreak Coach. Let's take your love life and entire life to the next level. Hello, my loves. Welcome to another bonus recap episode of Katie Thurston's season of The Bachelorette. We are recapping episode 6. So who is we, you ask? My very dear friend, Courtney Abbiati. Courtney is seriously, I know a lot of funny people and I'm 40 years old, so I've lived a long life. I've also spent a lot of years single, so I've had tons of friends, and hands down, Courtney, you are in top 5 of the funniest people that I know.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pressure's on not to screw this up, by the way.
Guys, you need to know that Courtney and I were scheduled to record, and we haven't spoken in a minute. And so we have spent an hour talking and laughing and celebrity gossiping and all the things, and also talking about life and love and our businesses. Courtney, some of you might remember, is the owner of one of my absolute most favorite companies. It is called The Urban and the Mystic. The Urban and the Mystic. We'll link the site up in the show notes. The Urban and the Mystic, I feel like it doesn't do it justice by saying it's a crystal company. It's so much more than a crystal company. You guys know I'm crazy about my crystals. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I meditate with the most beautiful crystals, and those crystals are from The Urban and the Mystic. Some of you might also know, because you might have listened to an episode where I had Courtney on and we talked about the power of crystals and just all the different ways that we can use them. And we'll link that up in the show notes as well. But I happened to have invested in the most amazing, beautiful sphere rose quartz in my new apartment in Beverly Hills back in 2019. I believe I purchased that rose quartz sphere in either July or August of 2019. And Larry, the love of my life, came into my life in September of 2019. But what Courtney and I really talk about in this episode, that in that particular episode, which again, we'll link up in the show notes, is that it's not just buy the crystal and allow the crystal to do its work. It's buy the crystal while also doing the work and being intentional with the crystal. Right, Court? And by the way, hi.
Oh, absolutely. Hi, my love. Yes, no, you nailed it. It's a gym membership. You can have the best membership to the best gym on planet Earth. And if you don't go and get your ass on the treadmill, you're going to look exactly the same. It reminds me of that part in, what was that Sandra Bullock movie, the rom-com, like 28 Days, where she's getting sober and she shows up and everyone's got their hands in like clasped and they're standing in a circle and they go, it works if you work it. It works if you work it. But that's anything in life, whether it's steps at AA, heartbreak coaching, crystals. It works if you work it. The outlet in your room is not going to charge your phone unless you plug your phone into the outlet. It's not like a hippy dippy theory I have. It's just, that's how life rolls.
Yeah, it's like expecting the universe to just have your back without you showing up and doing the work to stretch yourself and know your lesson. So
100%.
I really am appreciative to you and the most perfect. So we should also, Courtney, you should send a link specifically for that rose quartz sphere if you have them in stock, because this isn't like some little, it's like a very special, it looks like a little, almost like a fortune teller ball.
Yes.
And it's on my bedside table still, on one of my bedside tables. And it is so beautiful. And I absolutely love it. And I really give it credit for calling the love of my life in. So thank you for that.
You are welcome. And it really isn't a coincidence. I have so many people that have purchased any form of rose quartz. Rose quartz, for everyone who's listening, if you don't know, it's the stone of unconditional love. So love of self, love of others, romantic love, keeping love alive, healing love, all the loves, right? And I implore everyone to have one in their bedroom, because when you sleep, it's like how they say you need to be really careful about the thoughts you think before you go to sleep, because that's what's going to be on repeat during your REM cycle, during the 8 hours that you're asleep. And it's the same with the energies that are in your room. Like, people a lot of times will take TVs out of their room or whatever's going to just keep that buzzing, frenetic energy going. They want that out. So what do you want washing over you while you sleep? Love. What is better than love? That's it.
You all should also know that I have the most amazing, is it celestite? Is that how you pronounce
Celestite.
celestite?
It's a lullaby in a crystal. It's so peaceful. We have this thing called the Bride Box. My company also makes these really beautiful gift boxes. And in our Bride Box, we put a piece of celestite in there as your something blue, because celestite, it not only is it calming and just gets you to a really ethereal place vibrationally, it helps you connect with your loved ones that have crossed over. So it's like for everyone that you want to be at your wedding that physically can't be, that's your something blue to bring with you, so you know that all those souls are with you.
I was telling Courtney on our hour-long catch-up before we actually recorded this that my apartment is just filled with, she knows this because I purchased them from you, but that, I mean, every nook and cranny in my apartment has Urban and the Mystic crystals. And so I have this big, beautiful, light blue celestite crystal on my other bedside table.
It's so, like, that piece is so good. Like, I almost wanted to keep, if it wasn't for you, I would have been like, it got lost when they shipped it to us. I don't know where it is. It was so good. That piece is so good.
It's so beautiful. Okay, so there's all the info that you need. If you want to get more info, there's tons more info. And you can also follow the Urban and the Mystic on Instagram. What is your handle for that, Court?
Yeah, everything with us is just down the middle. So our handle is The Urban and The Mystic. Our website is theurbanandthemystic.com. You want to get in touch with us, it's info@theurbanandthemystic.com. It's very straightforward.
I love it. I love it. Okay, now we're going to get to the juicy deets of last night's episode 6. So I told Courtney, and if you guys have been listening to these recap episodes, we really just go in chronological order of the events. So I'm just going to dive right in. I loved the little check-in with Katie and Caitlin and Tayshia, where she literally named 3 out of my predicted top 4. So this whole time I've been saying that I think Michael A., whose wife had passed, Greg, we know, is the winner. Winner for lack of better words, but you know what I mean by that. And then Andrew S. Andrew S. is my personal favorite football player from Vienna.
Oh, yes. He had a one-on-one recently, last episode. Yes. He's so sweet. I love him.
So sweet. But my 4th was Connor, who we know ultimately got let go. But I really think that those 3 are definitely going to be probably the top 3. Anything on that before we
was Connor the one from La Jolla who had like the very aggressive eyebrows and like the man turtleneck with the heavy part in his hair?
That's James. The serial killer? Yeah, James.
Oh,
Connor the cat.
Wait, Connor the cat. Wasn't Connor the school teacher that had the date last night?
Yes, he got let go.
Yes, you loved him for her, or you loved him?
No. I thought he was going to just be in top 4. That was my guess.
Oh, yeah. Very sweet, but wrong for her, but we'll get to him.
100%. So then we segue into the whoa, which I thought was super fucking lame. Week off of whacking off. And also, how does she know that they're actually honoring that?
It was like, what? I just felt like we'll get there. We'll get there with my feelings on it. I'm with you though. That was like a real wet fart.
We're getting there now. We're going in chronological order.
Wait, do we not want to talk about? Are we not talking about did the first one-on-one date happen before the week off of whacking off?
I went in chronological order. It was like they had the little check-in with Caitlin and Tayshia, and then it was like, and Caitlin wants to announce the whoa. I just thought it was so fucking
you are correct.
lame. And you know what I'm going to say, which is probably going to piss a few people off, but I'm going to say it because this is my true thought. I just sort of feel like they've now got 2 female co-hosts and it's the Bachelorette, and they're like, how do we use our power over these men? Like, it's like, how do we fuck with these guys? Like, if there was a man telling a woman what she couldn't do with her body on The Bachelor, like, this would be a totally different situation. I just thought it was like so unnecessary and weird.
I think it was completely unnecessary. I feel like it was that, you know that phrase, you jumped the shark?
No.
It's this phrase from when Happy Days obviously was this amazing, iconic show, but they had this moment where Fonzie was like riding a shark or jumped on a shark or something like that. And it was like, what is happening to this iconic show? And so now there's this phrase saying, oh, you jumped the shark. Meaning like the show has been so great, but you ruined it with this stupid stunt. And it felt like they jumped the shark with that. It's like, this is so dumb. Listen, by the way, do I think it will make for more interesting interactions with her and these guys if they're not, giving themselves some self-care down there? Absolutely, because they're going to be hornier. But I think it's the dumbest idea. I think they were scraping the bottom of the barrel to be like, how can we be edgy or like,
yes.
What is this? Listen, I love sex. I'll talk about it all day long. The term sex positive, for some reason to me, sounds like a venereal disease. It sounds so dumb. It sounds like we're making up a term for something we don't need to make up a term for. Like, how about I like sex? Sex positive? Oh, okay. Do we need to wear a condom to prevent me from catching your sex positivity?
So last week, Larry was supposed to join me on the episode. We were in North Carolina visiting my family, and he just got slammed with work and he couldn't come on. But he had watched the episode with me, and we were talking about this, and I'm like, well, you and I are pretty sex positive, but I don't need to like talk about how I am. It just feels, again, and I really do understand Katie's journey or I don't understand it because I've never been in her shoes.
Yes.
Where I didn't give consent. So I don't understand that, but I'm offering an understanding for it if she was super repressed or was overcompensating and was traumatized and is scarred by it. And now she feels like this freedom with her sexuality and her body.
Yes.
And so she wants to express herself in that way because it was really painful for her. And now she feels free. That's where I understand the context.
I get that. But to me, my problem isn't with Katie. I love her whole story. I love how I actually think she's told it in a really fucking beautiful, impactful.
Yes, agreed.
Simple way. Like you get it. I think it's great. It's more the term that bothers me. It's like, why are we redefining this? I like sex. I'm free. I do what I want with my body. It's like, you know how now everyone says, oh, and grab your personal flotation device. It's a life preserver. Did we need to rename this? Like the ocean's on fire and we're spending our time calling it a personal flotation device. It's a life preserver. I like sex. I don't need to say like I'm sex positive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry.
It feels unnecessary. No, I agree with you. It feels unnecessary, but I think the reason why it's a big thing for her is because of her journey about it, right?
100%. 100%. But then it's just like, I'm free in my body. I don't need someone to define me by sex or what. Like, I don't know. I just think there's many other ways that can describe that actually more accurately pinpoint her experience and why she is the way she is. Yeah. Why she feels ownership over her sexuality and who she is. I almost feel like the term is not doing justice to what she's trying to say, which is not her problem or the Bachelor's problem. It's just a problem with how we're defining it. But at any rate, I thought that the week off of whacking off was the dumbest thing. I think it was just them scraping the bottom of the barrel to like get an idea to be edgy or whatever they were trying to do. Yeah.
But what are your thoughts of like, if the Bachelor said to a group of women, like no masturbation this week?
I think it's really different because men could do, it doesn't matter what you want to do if you're a dude. And, Warren Buffett said, I won the lottery. I was born like a white man in America. Like there's nothing that and I'm not saying that again, that your life isn't hard if you have those things. However, you've been given so many allowances by just being born, even if you take the white part out of it, being born a man, right? Mm-hmm. Like we know women earn 72 cents to every dollar a man makes. And I think women can be a little more forward with saying like, yeah, don't jerk off for a week because we've been the underdog. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I'm glad I asked you because I want to hear a different perspective on it. But I still just feel like it perpetuates the problem of the war against men and women by being like, you guys don't get to jerk off. Like, I'm like, come on, we're better than that. Like, we don't have to tit for tat for the fact that like they were born a man. Like
100%. I just think it wouldn't I agree with you completely. I just think it wouldn't have come off. I think it doesn't come off as badly
of course.
For a girl saying it to a guy.
It really doesn't. There was no, I didn't read anything today being like, can you believe this happened?
But passed the censors at ABC, so clearly it's not that bad.
But we know if it was reversed, and I hear your point on that, so I'm glad you said that, but it's just like, when can we just move forward and not being like, kind of, you have to pay for like all of the shit that women have had to put up with. Okay, cool. All right. So then we start to see that, the Hunter drama is continuing to bubble and grow.
Hunter drives me nuts.
But you know what really disappointed me? And I talked about this last week. He had such a strong start at the intervention with Nick Viall.
Yep. He totally did.
He just like came forward. He seemed really genuine, took responsibility for the failure of his marriage and being checked out. And that I really believed. And this is why, my loves who are listening, if you're a fan of my regular podcast, Stop Wanting It Back and Find Someone Better, it takes time to get to know someone. Slow your roll. If you're having an amazing night, if you had 2 amazing dates, 3 amazing dates, you're feeling connected.
A month different.
Even. Yes, 1,000%. But I'm saying that like a lot of people get carried away. A lot of my clients, and in my own experience, I mean, fuck, you know this, Court. I got carried away by Larry. He literally, the first night we met, was like, I want to spend all of my free time with you. And I was like, However, the reason why I attracted someone with follow through on his word is because I was like, that's nice that he's saying that, but we will see how this unfolds.
Yes.
Right?
And you did say that to me, by the way.
I'm glad you remember. See, guys, I have proof. I really do walk the walk.
No, you do. Because I remember I was like, oh my God, this is so great. You're like, it absolutely is. I'm excited. I like him, but like, let's see how
it unfolds. Next steps go. Yeah. Yeah, because I've been excited before and we get excited and there's nothing wrong with being excited. The only thing that's wrong is if you literally take him for his words and bank on that as if it's like in the bag.
Yep.
So
I think with Hunter, something that's interesting that happened with him is Hunter hasn't proved himself to himself yet, right? Like there's this insecurity about him. Like you don't need to physically beat the shit out of someone at a stupid rugby game, a faux rugby game on a nationally televised TV show if you're secure in your manhood. Like these people didn't do anything to you. Why do you need to bury them? Right?
1,000%. But he just like turned like a really nasty corner because in the beginning he seemed to be getting along, unless if that's the way the editors were playing it out because they wanted to focus on Thomas and.
Well, no, but what I think happened to him is that everything's, what do they say? Like everything's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye or like, until something serious happens. Everything's all fun and games until he realized like, oh, I actually do like this girl. I actually do like being on this show. I actually do like what's going on here. And because I don't think he's fully formed yet as a man, right? And that's no shade to him. It takes everyone the time that it takes them. But if you look at him compared to the guy, what's his name? Matt A., the widower?
Michael A.
A., thank you. He's fully formed. Like doesn't mean he's not going to evolve and experience things and grow, but like he's on planet Earth. He's in the space of like, I get why I'm here. I get what is important to me. The other guy, Hunter S., is like all over the place. He then is in a room with a lot of testosterone. So then that triggers his unhealed stuff to me, the way I viewed it, as like, I have to be the most macho guy in the room. I have to fight to stay here. And now he's self-talking himself into being like, they're all plebes and I'm the king of this castle and I need to make them know this because I'm the greatest guy here. Listen, the greatest guy here never needs to tell you he's the greatest guy here.
Yeah, and he also was totally overcompensating for his height.
Yeah, all of it. But if he had proven himself to himself, he won't overcompensate for his height because he'd be like, great, I'm 5'6" and I'm still rad. Because I have a great heart and I'm an amazing dad and I love what I do and I'm good to the people in my life. None of that
and
has
I have
happened
a great rent-a-tux for tonight's
rose ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of Hunter S. needs to go and like get into therapy and work on that stuff. And then we'll see you on Bachelor in Paradise.
And get rid of that arm tattoo that took so long to get worked on his arm.
By the way, if I had like half of the faux confidence that guy had, I would be like president because he's walking around like he's God's gift to the planet.
If I had half of the faux confidence that he had, I'd be present. This is what I mean. This 100%. Is one of the funniest people that I know. Court, I also just want to say you're also one of the most smart people I know. And guys, you've already heard a few of her analogies and comparisons and just keep tuning in for more because she always just pulls it in with a great an analogy or like putting it in the context of something else. And I die for all of those. Okay.
I hate you.
So, but what I also thought was really funny was that Hunter was like clearly the expert of how The Bachelor and The Bachelorette works. And Aaron, who finally gets kicked off last night, even though I was rooting for Aaron, I kept screaming at Aaron through the TV screen. He was the really hot guy, but he kind of talked like a meathead, but he always had the funny one-liners. And Katie went to him initially because she couldn't like figure out who was here for the right reasons. And he was like a good dude, but he was clearly emotionally disconnected. Like he was more focused on who should be here and who shouldn't. But he was so funny. I was like, I made a note. I want to become besties with Aaron. I just loved his one-liners. And I also want to heal his heart and help him find love. So Aaron, if you're listening, you just have some blocks, but you are a catch. And I think you have a lot to offer a woman eventually if you want to do the work. But I loved like his little zingers and his one-liners. And last night he was like, you know, Hunter, the historian of The Bachelor. It was just like, there's, this is how it works. And so there's this one-on-one, but like, if he doesn't come back, and he had like it all played out in his head. Yes. But here's what I want to say on that. Aaron, I love you madly. I'm rooting for you. Maybe you make it on to Bachelor in Paradise after you do some work.
He will.
But here's what I want to say on that is, I've been a fan for years, and I may have auditioned for a season.
What?
I auditioned. I did. I auditioned. I applied for Farmer Chris's season, and I totally did it. Honestly, you're hearing it right here and now. I think I said this in another recap episode. I totally did it for shits and giggles. But I mean, I was like so on board with Farmer Chris. But when I look back, like, do I really want to live in Bumblefuck, Iowa? No. And thank God that didn't work out because he hit someone and killed them while drinking.
And drove away.
Yeah, and got away with it because he's a rich white man. Can't even go there. Yeah,
it's totally
so bad.
By the way, I love you even more, if that's possible. I did not know this happened. I'm obsessed with you. I'm more obsessed with you.
I think my family would have disowned me because they're such private people. Like I went to see them last week. Like they just don't do social media. They're just like, don't want like pictures. And, we take pictures, but I don't post them. And so,
yes,
I mean, over my parents' dead body, would I be like, so this guy is coming in all these cameras. And
I've known him for a month. He's been dating 26 other women, but I think we might get engaged.
3 more, but we might get married.
And he's been inside of all of us, Dad.
My parents would like literally have a conniption. But anyway.
Can I just tell you, I wore an Emilio Pucci backless shirt to dinner with my parents once when I first went to college. And my dad literally at the table told me that I looked like someone who charged by the hour. So I could only imagine, which is fine, but no shade, by the way. But that he was just upset by that. And so I could only imagine if I brought home a camera crew with a guy who was fucking 3 other women to be like, I want to marry him.
It's insane. But what I wanted to support Hunter on is like, what's wrong with being a fan of the show and kind of knowing how it all works? Because I for sure, if I had been on a season or would ever be on a season, not that I ever plan to, because I got the love of my life and I think I'm past the age limit, even though Claire was 39 as the Bachelorette, which was amazing. I think that when certain people like Hunter last week got the group date rose, and Greg, like his heart sank when it was like so clear that Greg and Katie have the best connection.
Yeah.
And they had this moment, but then she gave the group date rose to Hunter. In my brain, I would have been like, producer plant to create more drama in the group. And what's wrong with like knowing the show and kind of trying to figure out who he thinks is top 4? Like it was funny. I do think he is being strategic and a little manipulative and trying to win and all of that. But like, also, isn't that what everyone's doing? Trying to figure out top 4 or top 2?
That's what I was going to say, because I actually was of 2 minds about who was that douchewad that was on like a few weeks ago he was like, yeah, of course I thought about being the Bachelor.
Thomas.
Well, I actually think Thomas does need to like grow up and and leave 100%. However, I appreciated his honesty, because any motherfucker on this platform to say, I've never thought about what this show could do to my life, whether it be becoming the Bachelor, being on Bachelor in Paradise, or just getting enough followers to become an influencer. So all you have to do all day is like drink smoothies and, post about it and make money, which I know it's not that easy. I'm making a joke, everyone. But like, if you've thought about it,
Totally
it.
Thought about it.
Breathing in the world. You're aware of this show and the platform and the things it can do for you. Like, it's not It doesn't make you a bad person because you think before Meghan Markle got married to Prince Harry, she wasn't like, I wonder if our wedding will be televised. Of course she thought about that. Like, these are things we know.
100%. The first date that I had with Larry, when he was like, oh, by the way, I have 4 kids, I'm like immediately thinking, is this something that I could do? Is this something that I want? Because in my brain,
normal.
Yeah, in my brain, I'm like creating the result of finding my person. So every date I go on, I'm not asking him, right? I'm like trying to figure it out for myself.
Totally.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but Hunter definitely seemed schemy and weird and disconnected. And like, I think he thought he was way more sincere than what he actually was. And even if like, let's say they ended up together, which obviously we know he doesn't because he leaves, they would never have worked. Like he's so disconnected from
ever. But do you know what I want to touch on really, really quickly? I can't remember the guy. I'm trying to find his name because I loved him and I was so sad that he left last night. He had said something that I think is probably really useful for a lot of, just if you're in the dating world or even not, like even if you're in the business world or just a person breathing in life, trying to have like depthful, weightful relationships. Like all of the guys on the show, and it happens every season where there's this one bad apple or someone you perceive as a bad apple that you think you need to make the other person aware of so that they don't pick them. And then you spend all of your one-on-one time talking about that person. It's so lame. And I think that one of the guys last night who went home, whose name I can't remember, but he was so cute and so sweet. He goes, I'm now thinking I shouldn't have spent all my time talking about them because she doesn't really know me. And that might make me go home. And I really like her. And he knows he's a good guy and that they could actually have something lovely, whether it would last or not.
I forget who said that. It might have been Aaron.
No, it wasn't Aaron. It wasn't. And I can't remember who it was.
Trey?
It was Trey, the software engineer.
Okay.
Yep. He said it. And I was like, that's exactly it. And so, but what made me think about it is like you were saying, if I was going on, of course I would watch. Like I think about this all the time, no matter if I were to ever do a reality TV show, of course I would watch because it's like before I jump in the ocean, I'm looking to see if the wave is going to swallow me. And I'm like, okay, maybe tomorrow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Side note, Trey just like really fascinated me. And I know we all know he left, but I really felt like he was so fired up about making sure all the wrong people are gone. And then he really surprised me with how emotional he got about Connor leaving.
Well, I have a theory about that. I think, first of all of these guys are much more emotionally in touch than this side of 10 years ago, right? When The Bachelor was just starting, which I love. But I also think when you see someone else going and it's not you, I think all of a sudden you're like, I can take a deep breath, thank God, and like release let a little bit of the air out of the tire. Like, okay, I've been stressed about this. There's an emotionality that comes with that. So that's going to come out. And then I also think it makes them emotional because they're like, oh shit, that could also be my future. So I think it was a combination of those 3 things. But I did note when I was watching it last night, I was like, oh my God, there really is a beautiful shift happening in the world for men, at least from what I can see.
Yeah.
Where I think someone had said this to me once and I was like,
they're more emotionally in touch with themselves for sure.
Yes. And they have more language for what they're feeling.
Yes.
Like I'll never forget, someone had said to me, my husband will get as mad, and her husband was like 50 years old, right? So it's a different generation. My husband will get as mad at spilling a cup of coffee as if a business deal falls through because he doesn't have the shades of anger. He just knows anger.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these guys, even like the screwy ones, like the Hunter S's of the world, right?
I don't think it's Hunter S. I think it's just Hunter.
Oh, great. I'm giving him an S because I don't know why.
Hunters.
Everyone has a last name, like an initial for like a Kelly B, a Katie R. Anyway, Hunter, like all of them seem to have just like a bit more emotional language and like
intelligence. Yes. Awareness. Yeah. But also when Trey said his goodbye to Katie, I thought it was super genuine and classy. I felt like Aaron was nice, but he was a little clunky because he's just awkward. But also Aaron, when he said goodbye to Connor, I do think that there was a special place in their hearts for Connor.
Oh,
he said, I admire you and I want to be like you.
I loved that.
And I do think that they really loved Connor. And I think that also they probably thought he was a strong contender because there seemed to be this connection.
For sure.
But I could never get past the cat suit. I couldn't. So
No, I couldn't get past that. And I also, was Connor the one, I had tweeted this actually when I first saw, I'm pretty sure it was Connor when he first kissed her.
And he was like holding her face awkwardly, like the fingers were like awkwardly placed.
Yes, and it was very aggressive, not in like a bad way, like he was doing anything untoward.
It was just,
I just mean it was
match
like
the connection initially. It was like they were going from this sweet flirtation, and it was like.
And also for anyone specifically that like has a penis that is trying to like go in for, because usually the guy's the one that's like making
the move, yeah.
No girl, or I haven't met the girl yet, wants like this hard fucking like go slow and
soft, intimate.
Yes.
Well, we know she told him, we're jumping a little bit, but she blatantly told him there was something missing in the kiss, which honestly, I'm just going there because you mentioned it and it obviously looked clunky and awkward, but yes. If I was her, I wouldn't have said it. Now America thinks he's a bad kisser. Oh, and she's like, and I'm all about honesty. And now he'll be like so self-conscious about the next woman that he kisses.
But yes, I 100%, I clocked that. I felt terrible, but I actually believe what she really meant, or I think her intention rather, was that when you kiss someone, you're hoping for some spark, and that wasn't there. And
I know, but you could just say,
you're right.
I think you're amazing. Yes. And like, just there isn't the spark. Yes. Many bachelors and bachelorettes have said that in the past. Look, I think Katie's amazing. I was a little bit bothered with her delivery about Blake coming into the show. I felt like she was like a little matter of fact. And I said that last week. She was like, guys, this is what's happening. And I got to follow my heart, whether it's right or it's wrong. And so, yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, it felt a little cold, but overall, I'm a huge fan of her. We needed a Katie who's just so kind, has a good moral compass. And clear, knows exactly what she wants. She doesn't settle for bullshit, even though she kind of got sucked in with Thomas, whatever. I'm really a huge fan of Katie's, but I think
she has a pretty good picker, actually. I think she really listens to her gut and goes with it.
Yeah, but I was really disappointed that she actually told him that. Like, how humiliating. Like, spare him. Spare him. I mean, he literally said at the end, like, what the fuck is wrong with my kissing or something like that.
How bad of a kisser am I? It broke my heart.
I know.
I will say this, though. Katie is so aware, I feel. Like, she's a very self-aware person that I know she will do whatever I feel like I have a one-way relationship with her. I'm saying this like I'm going to text her after this. But like,
she's going to make up for it, Court.
I do think she will make it clear, like, that was wrong of me to say, here's what I actually meant. I'm sorry for the harm that I've caused. She can't erase it, but I do think she'll own it.
Okay, but like, I haven't heard anything about that today. I don't know. Like, she's like, I'm all about honesty. Like, I think she might be standing by her honesty policy, but I'm just like, I don't know.
You can be too honest. She was too honest.
I think she was too honest. And I just think that there are some things that are better left unsaid. Like, I just didn't feel the chemistry next. That's
1,000%
enough. Okay, so we jumped around. I did that, but it felt like the right flow. Let's circle back to the one-on-one, the most cringy wedding date with Justin.
Such a bad activity for them to do.
And they did it on purpose because he's like obviously uncomfortable in his skin.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It's like you could see that he's a very nice guy, but he's not the nice guy for her.
Well, I agree, but I am also like, how did Justin stay and Connor didn't?
Well, Connor can't kiss. Oh God, I don't mean he can't kiss. I mean he can't kiss for her. Look, now I'm the asshole. No, he doesn't kiss right for her.
Yeah, but like there was so much more of a connection with Connor than with Justin.
It doesn't matter. Babe, haven't you been in a relationship where it's like, this guy is so lovely. He's everything that you could ask for. He's everything my parents could ask for. Yeah. But when he kisses me, I could fall asleep.
I know.
Or like I'm mentally playing the movie Diner in my head. Like it's not happening.
I know, but I also just think that she knows Justin is not it for her and like she could only let one person go. Like I just think that they're trying to mislead us as the audience. Honestly, when Justin got the one-on-one, I was like, he's clearly going home. And I felt like
I thought so too.
Yeah. And then their conversations were kind of clunky. And then when she opened up about not having a dad to walk her down the aisle, he obviously totally rose to the occasion and had such lovely things to say. But there's no real chemistry there.
No. And when I'm watching this show, and this is like one of my favorite things ever, I can just see some of these people. I see their future on Bachelor in Paradise as I'm watching them on The Bachelor or Bachelorette.
1000%.
And I just know that Justin's going to go to Bachelor in Paradise and it's going to be great. And we're all going to be the better for it.
Yeah, he's a good dude. They're not the right fit.
He's super cute. He's lovely. It's all good things for him. He's just not going to end up with her.
Yeah. And just like getting in the wedding dress and like you've just seen barely any interactions and now they have to write these vows. Like, fuck off. I just couldn't. It was so cringy.
A bridge too far.
Okay. I also just have here, and I don't want to skip over when Connor was in the confessionals, his acid wash, oversized New Kids on the Block jean jacket was everything.
By the way, she should have just said it was the jacket. Like America would have been like, I
can't get past your choices in fashion. I mean, that would be fair.
Is there a possibility that he's batting for the other team and doesn't know it yet? Because I also think the Virgin might be gay.
Yeah.
And just unaware yet.
Yeah.
Like he's Colton.
There is. I don't know. I feel like he's pretty connected to himself, whereas like Colton had this like football Christian culture to live up to. I feel like
he's got the baseball Christian culture to live up to.
Connor does? Or
no, not Connor. The Virgin. I'm talking about the Virgin.
Oh yeah, the Virgin potentially is, right? Like, because he even said, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that virgins can't whack off, because he was like, well, that's easy for me. I'm like, oh, you don't even jerk yourself off? So you're like completely repressed.
Correct.
Yeah. Also, I just had to circle back on the Justin date. Sorry, my notes are a little bit disjointed, but she kept saying like, Justin and I have this like really playful side, and I just want to see like if we have more there. I'm like, and then she said it to him, like, we have this playful side. I'm like, I have never seen them be playful
at all.
And it just bothered
me. If the most exciting thing that's happened in your relationship is that someone's called you babe, I feel like this relationship is going nowhere fast.
100%.
Oh wait, that's 100%. Not Justin. Sorry, that's the other one. The teacher. I keep.
Connor was saying that. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. I was looking down at my notes and I heard it and I was like, wait, that was Connor on the double date with Jason and Caitlin.
Yes, but here's the thing with, because I had said this to Claire before we started recording. I don't remember any of their names until it's like the final four. And by the way, I watch every episode like a needle to the vein. I'm addicted to this stuff. However. It just can't stick. And there's people in my life that I've known for like 10 years. I'm like, is it Kathy or Katie? Like, it's just a problem of mine personally.
I'm only on top of the names as much as I can be because I'm doing these recap episodes. I'm usually I don't know all of them like this normally at this stage either.
But I was shocked that the guy who we know she's not going to end up with, not the guy from the cat zoo, Justin. I was shocked that Justin even got a one-on-one because of what you're saying. I've never seen you have playful banter. I've never seen you even. I didn't even know the guy was on the show before he had the one-on-one.
I know.
So
I totally
that's just
agree.
My 2 cents there.
So then I'm going to just cut right to that group date where they were all roasting each other, and we don't have to touch on Hunter again. I think we've done that already. But Greg's poem to Katie. Greg is the person who I know she's going to end up with. She basically told him,
"Yes, oh my God, yes."
I'm falling for you. And I can't remember the words of the poem, but the poem's pretty freaking adorable. Amazing. I just wrote, stop it. Greg with the poem. Dead. He's the winner.
I love Greg. I love him so much. By the way, I also love how only in the context of The Bachelor and Bachelorette do we talk like it's 1952, where we say like, I'm really falling for you. Like if you're dating someone IRL, you never, like when you were telling me when you first met Larry, you were never like, I think I could be falling for him. You're like, he's awesome. Like he could be the one. I could love him. But we only say that on The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and we give it all a pass. Like this is a normal way to speak. Is it not a little like antiquated?
Totally. It's just like the first step before we say the actual love you.
I feel like it's like when you were in like, middle school or high school, depending how sexually active you were, like before the pee would come out of the jeans, you would be dry humping. I feel like that's the dry humping version of saying I love you.
See, this is why I need Courtney in every episode of my life. But I just loved the setup of the roast. I feel like it just reveals more of people's characters. Like they picked on Aaron about being dumb, and Aaron like had so much fun with it. Yeah, I totally have a crush on Aaron. He's emotionally unavailable, hot, fun, and smart. So some of my old ways still pop up. I can't help myself. And then we have after the roast, it was just like he was talking about how, this was in the cocktail party. He was just like, this person didn't get time with her and this person didn't get time with her. I'm like, Aaron, go fucking get time with her for yourself. You're concerned about other people. It was like he knew that he was kind of like the overseer of the group.
He was like, what's that person on the basketball team that like does the, like, oh, you run the scoreboard and like take notes of like all the fouls?
The assistant.
Something like that. If I knew sports, I would be able to tell you the name, but there is a person like that travels with basketball teams. And I feel like that's who he was.
Yeah. It's such a disappointment, but I really want to see him in Paradise, and I hope he goes and he gets some therapy and he really reflects and watches the show.
Well, I think one of those two things are going to happen. I think he will go to Paradise. I don't think he will go to therapy in between the two.
Yeah. I also feel like in my heart, he really liked Katie as a person, but maybe he just didn't feel it for her and he just was like going to stay.
He would have fought for it if he felt it.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
I agree.
But I like him.
Yeah, totally. Okay. The thing that's really bothering me, and I have to just speak on this before I even hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
I talked about this last week on the recap about something just not being right to me about the connection between Blake and Katie. Something feels off. I said with my friend Samantha 2 weeks ago when he first showed up, I'm like, I'm not like doing backflips over him. I don't hate him, but there's something like, even when they started making out on that one-on-one date in last week's episode, I was like, they're saying that they have chemistry, but like they just keep talking about their connection. They're not actually connecting. I mean, and then even when he was like, talk to me more about how you become sex positive. Like, I just feel like everything that he's doing is like, and here's how I show that I'm deep and I'm going to ask you this question. There's something I'm not like into about him. And so this was my note last night. I said, I don't know about Blake. I don't think he isn't genuine, but there's something disconnected and a little forced. And then I wrote, he's the star of his own play. And then all of a sudden, he literally said, I said it to Larry. I was like, it's like he feels like he's the star of his own play. And then right afterwards, he goes, I feel like I'm in my own love story.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what it is? I said it to Larry. I was like, he's watching himself and he's like loving being watched. And I don't think he's as into her. And then we have a sneak preview of him saying to her, I don't feel like I'm in love with you. I think he wanted to come back and get more audience attention.
Okay. I'm of two minds about this. One, I think you are correct with everything you said up until the very end. Do I think it would be a lie if he was like, oh, I don't think it would be great and help my quote unquote brand or whatever, my Q factor, Q rating, by being on the show again? Of course he thought about all those things. In the same breath, do I also think that he is attracted to her and like thinks this could be interesting? I do. I don't think he's just there to, bag her and leave. I don't believe that. But with all of that being said, the reason he can't love Katie the way Katie needs to be loved is because Blake doesn't love anyone as much as Blake loves himself, right? Here's the thing. Blake's that guy. I've dated him. You've dated him. Many a women have dated him, where it's like that month of like, oh my God, like there's chemistry. Like we have a great time. We go out, we get drunk, we come home, we have sex on the floor before we make it into the bedroom. Like we laugh, we have a fun time together. And then come like the end of the month, things start get either balancing out a little bit, not seeing each other as much. And then it's kind of like either the breakup or the slow fade, because there's no longevity there with guys like him for where he's at in his life right now. He's not thinking till death do us part. He's thinking like, this is great right now. What am I going to do tomorrow?
But he used words of like, I just think if you really give me a chance, I'm prepared to walk away with an engagement.
Well,
like that's what he said to her. And what I think is, Larry actually called this, and he's not as much of a fan as we are, but he like in, but he and I actually agree with this, that there must be like some kind of way that the producers and the network can figure out who are fan favorites. And they thought that he would be an interesting interrupter for the season. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what do you think about pursuing Katie? And he was like, oh, let me check it out. Let me think about it. Oh, she's cute. Sure. I just don't think he was as invested and into her. And he was like, like Tayshia said to her, like, he has not stopped thinking about you. And I just feel like he is not as authentically into her as what he has set it up to be.
Agreed.
And however, she is into it, and she's going to get hurt by him.
Because they do have sexual chemistry. That's the one thing that's going to screw her up with him. Did you not have that? Even I had the moment of when he went to go visit her after with like trying to like replay this Say Anything.
Wasn't into it because I had already decided this shit before he showed up. I'm like, you're classic him. He's so in love with himself. I'm going to let you speak. I'm sorry.
No, I love you.
I feel like he's like, I'm going to be the dude who stands and pulls what's the movie?
Say Anything.
What?
Say Anything, Lloyd
Say
Doppler.
Anything, move, and like have America fall. I think he's you're right. He's in love with himself.
Correct. He's getting high on his own supply, 100%. Right? So, but with all, and I know all of this, like I've dated this person. I know this person. With all of that being said, there was a moment where they were back in like the hotel corridor and they were kissing and he started like talking to her real close as they were kissing. And I was like, okay, that's a panty dropper. That's a good move. Like that's going to keep her thinking about him later. She's not on a week off of whacking off. So she might be doing things to herself later, thinking of that moment because that moment was sexy. And that's what's going to
my point is he knows what he's doing and it's for the cameras and I don't think but like, I don't think that he's like a Hunter or a Thomas. I want to be very clear because some people might be like, oh, like it's interesting to hear Claire, the heartbreak coach's assessment of, these are the people that I'm drawn to on the show. And Claire's like seeing things and calling things out, right? From my years of dating all the unavailables. And now I know what, not like, you don't know right away, right? On the dates. This is why I say it takes time, but there is something that is not 1000% genuine and sincere. And I don't even think that it is intentionally douchey. You and I are fan favorites of Zach from Tayshia's season where Zach and Tayshia got together and Zach actually posted a picture with Blake right before Blake came on the show. And Zach was like, this guy is such a good dude. So if you have Zach's stamp of approval, because Zach is like truly my all-time favorite from all Bachelor Nation dudes. Like, I don't think that he's bad, but I also think you can be approved by a dude and it's different with how you show up for a woman. Yeah. So
I agree with all of that, by the way. I don't think he's intentionally douchey or any of that. I just think that he is who he is. Like, we get it. We get like, but it's also why guys like him on the show are great because it adds a little spice. Like, oh, that's really I was packing last night because I'm leaving on Thursday for a long trip. And as I was packing, it's like, you'll go in and out in the sense of like, oh, okay, this guy, I didn't even know you were on the show. So I can tune out right now. And then when that started happening, I was like, oh, now things are getting interesting. So he's good from that respect. But I also couldn't even tell you his first name because he's not the Gregs or Michael A, the widower. Like those storylines I'm really invested in because I actually think there's substance and those guys have a shot.
I know, but like, have you seen the meme where it's like, you have to let Michael A go now if he is not the winner because this man has been through enough heartbreak. And I actually totally agree. And I truly feel like Greg is who she's going to run off with.
Yes, but I don't think she at this point in the show, right? Obviously now the show is over. If we're looking at this as the show is real time, I don't think she knows who she's going to end up with. So she can't let him go because she doesn't know if he's the Mr. Right or Mr. Wrong.
I agree. But God, if she comes home and like meets his kid, I mean,
but in all fairness, that his kid is and his kid is an extension of who he is and the life that they would have together. So if she's really thinking he's going to be one of like my top two, you got to go home and meet the kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's my firm belief also why you have sex before you get married, because you need to know like this is part of what I'm signing up for because sex is going to be part of your relationship. Just like this kid is,
Let me riddle you this. I did not meet Larry's kids before when I made the decision to move here and before I moved here.
Yeah, but moving to the same town together, as opposed to getting engaged and...
She just said engaged.
Do you know what I mean though? Like that's a different step.
Yeah.
You have your own toilet. This is like, these people are saying like,
it's so a big life decision to move to. I mean, this is probably going to have a whole reaction and judgment from some people, because I know, I get some judgy reviews, but I very intentionally was totally, he didn't say, you can't meet my kids until you move here. It wasn't like that. It was like, I see you every other weekend, and the weekends that you are with your kids, I'm not going to drive up to just hang out with them and meet them for an hour and then leave again. Like, it just was like, it was really kind of a convenience factor. Like, when I wasn't with him, I was completely in my life. And this just goes to show again about like knowing the difference between just 1000% implicitly trusting someone. And he's like, I know my kids and I know you, and this is going to work out amazingly. And so
great point.
It didn't matter to me if I met them. Obviously, I would never get engaged or move in with someone whose children I didn't meet. I was moving into my own space. And the plan was like, let's get you here as soon as possible so you can start moving. So we made the decision for me to move to Santa Barbara 5 months into our relationship. And then I moved like 2 months later. So I met them like 9 or 10 months into our relationship, which I just think stretch it out as long as possible to introduce your kids to any partner, because they don't need that confusion. Or
I've actually heard that as well from other people who have kids. And I think that's really good advice. Really, really good advice.
Yeah. I mean, I think 6 months is fine. And I think I would have met them much sooner if we were living in the same place. But
yeah,
I was insanely busy with my business, and he still does have a very demanding job. And then it's like his time with them, and like the separation and the dissolve of his marriage was still only a couple of years. So it really was like the perfect timing. But again, I'm not saying that everybody has to do that. But you just have to figure out what's right for you. Cause I didn't have a moment of like, what am I doing? I'm moving here and I've never met his kids. It was like, not like that at all. It was just like, I like met them immediately.
But let me ask you this. You wouldn't have gotten engaged to Larry had you not met his kids, right?
100% no. Yeah.
So that's my only point with, if we're taking this show at face value, that it's ending in an engagement, right? She's got to meet, if she thinks could be the one, she's got to meet the kid.
Totally. I know. But I just don't think, like, for me, I also decided, but I knew like Larry's kids were amazing just through his telling of them being amazing. And doesn't every parent think their kid is fucking amazing? Yeah. But like Larry's also a realist. He's like, this kid is like this and this kid is like that. Right.
Love that.
But that like they really are such lovable little people, even if they weren't, Larry's kids.
Yeah.
But I remember someone having a weird reaction, a close person in my life having a weird reaction. My family were like, great, just like, we're glad you found someone nice. We don't care. But I remember a friend just being like, that's so weird that you haven't met his kids and you're going to move up there. And I was like, but I'm not going to break up with him if like there's a problem with the kids.
I actually don't think it's weird that you moved up there and you hadn't met the kids yet. I don't think that's weird at all.
It would only be a problem. Like, look, hello, there's 4 kids. And of course there was going to be some resistance for them, understandably so. Mm-hmm. And they've handled it with way more grace and kindness. And they've been like way more open arms than like my parents are still together. But I know I would have been a fucking nightmare to anybody who was meeting, like to anybody that my parent would, like one of my parents were to bring, right? But like, and I'm like, the only way it would be a problem is, let's say if one of his kids were super disrespectful to me and Larry wasn't like, hey, like,
let me check this.
Claire like that. Yeah. I think like he and I have always been on the same page about his approach of blending us. Mm-hmm. But so I do think that that's important, but I had that trust that he was going to do that even before I met them. That's why I moved. Anyway, we're talking about apples and oranges situations, but it's like, I'm just saying from my own perspective of like, we basically were saying we wanted to spend forever together. And like the next step is to just move and be in the same place in order to blend with the family and everything like that. And here we are in Bachelor Land, which is like a crazy, unrealistic, very high stakes in a short period of time with cameras and all the judgment and the opinions of America and the world watching. But I just feel like that's so much hype for the kid. It's just like, especially after the kid losing the mom, right? It's not like divorce.
Of course, I am completely with you on this. However, I think that all of that is being taken into consideration when making these choices. Like, I don't get the feeling that she's never got, that she doesn't not have that at the forefront of her brain when thinking of him and their relationship together. And she said it, I think, on their one-on-one.
Yeah. No, I do think I do trust, even though she kind of like scarred Connor in front of America about his kissing, I think that she will take this seriously into consideration with Michael A.
Speaking about kissing with Michael A, I think he couldn't be sweeter, and I am all in on him. But he's asked her now twice, can I kiss you? I feel like you've gotten the permission. Don't ask again.
No. Michael A is the one who asks if he can kiss her.
That's what I'm saying. Michael A did ask permission.
Yeah.
He did it twice.
You said Connor. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I could have Michael A ask permission the first time, which was adorable. And then the second time it was like, okay, you don't have to do this every time.
Yeah.
And then now you could just like, and listen, I thought it was very sweet, and he's being very mindful of what's appropriate and not making her uncomfortable, which I was super appreciative of. But now it's like, okay, pedal to the metal. Let's get this. If I'm going with the term, she's sex positive, like, you've got the consent. Let's do it.
Totally.
So
and even though I don't want to see Michael A heartbroken, I would also like be really intrigued to see him as
the Bachelor.
The Bachelor. Yeah.
Samesies.
But I also have called that I think Andrew S. would make an incredible Bachelor. And I think we need a better Black representative for the Bachelor, because Matt James.
Okay, hold on, I'm looking. Oh, yeah. Oh, I liked Matt. You didn't like Matt?
I felt like he went wishy-washy. He was not ready. I don't know what. I know they're together now. Whatever. I don't care. I just feel like he's super disconnected from himself. Him and Rachel Kirkconnell are still together. Yeah. Are actually now together. Yeah.
Can I just say, though, I really did appreciate how she owned her shit. And she was like, I don't need people making excuses for me. I need to learn this. I have a platform. I want to help teach other people why this is inappropriate, why this is wrong, what we as white people have to learn from this. I actually thought she handled that very well.
I 1000% agree. And yet here we are, two white women saying that. So I'm aware that we are saying that, because I know that there are a lot of like, I know of one particular podcast where there's two Black women who are amazing with their podcast. And I'm forgetting the name of it. I'm forgetting their names, but I think it's called the Black Chilerettes or something.
Oh, that's so cute.
And they're amazing and they're brilliant, and they shine a light about how racist the show really is and how they encourage racism and all of that. And they were like still really, really upset about it. And so it's like, and not that it's like, oh, then I don't know what to think or feel, but it's just, it's still so touchy, isn't it? Like I feel even weird saying it's so touchy. I feel that it is such a sensitive issue that's so hard to still understand and learn and grow from. But I agree with you. I think she really tried her best. And I just think for myself of like growing up in a really rich, white, privileged environment my whole life. And I know you have too.
Yeah.
The amount of dumbass shit that just didn't get leaked to the public that I did, that is racist. That is not blatantly and deliberately racist. And I certainly didn't go to an antebellum party, but like, I know that there are things that I don't recall anything specifically, but I'm sure.
Right. Of course, we've all lived flawed existences. Not that that should be glossed over in any way, shape, or form. We learn, we do better. I'm just curious because I always want to learn, like, oh, I didn't see it that way because obviously I haven't grown up any other way than how I've grown up. So what was their criticism still on how she's done it that was like, actually, she can do better here, or we need to make people aware of XYZ? What do you remember what they said?
I think that a lot of it was like she was vague in saying how she's like doing things differently. Like nobody really knows what she's doing. And by the way, this is a while back, so I can't recall accurately.
Yes.
And, she said something, I will actually never forget this. And after the final rose ceremony, she said something to the effect of like, I could tell you the books that I'm reading and the documentaries I've watched and whatever, and like people were like, no, please actually tell us. There were just certain things, but
yes.
So, and look, he's with her and It looks like they're working it out, and best of luck to them. I certainly am not saying that I didn't like Matt because he was Black. I'm saying I had like such high hopes. I'm not saying that you thought that, but just to be clear, I just had such high hopes, and it was beyond time that they were bringing a Black bachelor on. And I thought he just set the stage and he was so lovely. And then just like his childhood shit and the emphasis on that, which I definitely think was producer invoked, but that I just also felt like he really went out of his way to like overly make women feel like they were desired by him. Like he really went out of his way for everyone. Like, and like a lot of them were shocked when he would let them go.
I do also think these, just from like a more global point of view from the Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise right now, I think it is really hard to make the show as good, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, as when the world is open and there isn't a global pandemic. Because I don't know if you've ever dated someone where it's like, you know, they pick you up in an amazing car and you do amazing things. And then maybe after like 2 or 3 dates, you're like, oh, but they're actually boring, but I didn't realize how boring they were because that was such a great dinner. Or like,
and he's like such a gorgeous man. And he's best friends with Tyler C. Like it just set up to be this like unbelievable. And then it was just like, wah, wah. Like I mean, Serena, that girl left.
But I even mean for like, not for his season. I think it's harder for these seasons that are in these little bubbles to make like everyone's foibles and Achilles heels are going to be magnified when you're not leaving a fucking resort. Do you know what I mean? But like, then you're getting on a plane to Budapest and then we're going to the Maldives or whatever it is, where it's like everything you're being distracted. It's like the magician's hand. Do you know what I mean? Like you're being distracted by something else that you don't realize what the trick is. And I think it's much easier to see the trick, to see the producers producing, to see people's Achilles heels because you're so concentrated in one. It's not an interesting backdrop for 18 weeks or whatever we're watching. So I do think they have a little bit of a harder time being these romantic, you know, people that we get lost in if we haven't left the fucking Hyatt. Do you know what I mean? Like you could be with Brad Pitt at the Hyatt. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, Brad, we got to go somewhere else.
Go someplace else.
Don't you want to farm in France? Like, come on.
The last thing I'll say that I just saw in the previews is like, she goes, Andrew S. And she like jumps into his arms.
I think that's producer's annoyance.
I think she lets him go and she's like so devastated letting him go. And then she like calls him and like jumps into his arms.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's what I mean. Like, I think that's just them like leading us to an empty well, a dry well.
I know. So I would really love either Andrew S. or Michael A. to be the next Bachelor.
I'm down with both of those. The only thing with Andrew S. that I have to say is he's so sweet. And I think he has such a well to be tapped into. But I think every time that he does these accents, it's him putting something on so he doesn't have to go deeper.
But then he went really deep on the one-on-one date.
Yes,
breaking the hearts.
He absolutely did. I just want him to be aware. This is my gentle, like if I was his acting coach, this is like my reminder to him of like, you're falling into that bad habit again. Don't do that because you're a really good actor. And we know, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same way I'm saying about The Widower. It's like, okay, you're really great. America's with you. You don't have to ask to kiss her every time. And by the way, I'm not perfect. I'm sure if I was on the show, millions of people would be like, who is shut her, put a cork in her mouth.
But just remember, Michael A. has literally been in one relationship his entire life and his wife is now dead. So he doesn't know how to really date.
I know.
I just feel like Michael A. and Andrew S. can do no wrong. And yes, hiding behind the accent thing, but
both,
British,
all three of them I love.
Greg is amazing too. I love Greg. Yeah. I just feel like it's a given he wins. So that's that. Anyway, we are at time.
I love you.
I am so in love with you. You need to come back and unpack a Batch in Paradise episode with me. Okay.
With pleasure. But Claire, before we go, I just have to know, will you accept this rose?
1,000,000% yes. I'm actually upset that you didn't ask me in our hour-long conversation before the show.
No, I just needed it to be recorded. And now fireworks are going to come across the screen and some country singer that we've never heard about is going to start singing.
Or actually, Courtney, can I have a word with you?
Oh God, that makes like my heart drop through my asshole if someone says that.
can I speak to you for a second? Can you come with me for a second? Thanks.
No, if you're going to dump me right here in front of everyone.
Oh my God. And when Connor was like, it's okay. I know where this is going. It's okay.
Oh,
Dead.
Oh my God. That killed me.
Dead.
And he was so sweet because he kept saying, no, it really is okay.
And he was wiping away her tears.
And by the way, though, what a gentle man. Like, he's so right. Like, it really is okay. Like, that's the name of this game. He's heartbroken, but like, what a beautiful way to move through a very heartbreaking, uncomfortable, shitty situation. Like, he's great. He's great. Someone just needs to take the time to teach him how to kiss and, get him out of a cat suit.
And that's a wrap with Miss Courtney Abbiati. Go head on over to theurbanandthemystic.com. Buy yourself some beautiful crystals and call love into your life. And also do that intentionally while killing it in my program, Stop Wanting Him Back and Find Someone Better. It's for all women. Doesn't matter your race, religion, sexual orientation. If you are looking to heal your heart, deepen your relationship with yourself, and find someone better, this program is for you. And spoiler alert, I send a little Urban and the Mystic crystal to every single woman who joins my program. So you're going to win on all the levels. So much love, my loves. Until next week when we recap episode 7. Bye. My love, are you ready to stop wanting him back and find someone better? Then head on over to clairetheheartbreakcoach.com and sign up for my 1-year group coaching program. I can't wait to put a stop to your broken heart and get a start on your happily ever after.